Hello, it's Randy Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Hey!
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randy Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Well, I think there's a certain dishonesty if they go against their vote from not very long ago. And he did get a unanimous endorsement, and he's somebody that should get. I mean, you can't do better from an educational, from an experience, from any standpoint. A great judge, he'll be a great justice. So, no, I feel that it's very dishonest if they go about doing that. And yes, if we end up with the same gridlock that they've had in Washington for the last longer than 8 years, in all fairness to President Obama, a lot longer than 8 years. But if we end up with that gridlock, I would say, if you can, Mitch, go nuclear, because that would be an absolute shame if a man of this quality was caught up in the web. So I would say it's up to Mitch, but I would say go for it. Okay?
Okay, all right. I would say it's up to Mitch, but okay, go for it. Just let's go nuclear and, get my num. Of course, last night, the president nominated Judge Neil Gorsuch to fill the Supreme Court seat left vacant by Merrick Garland. And by accepting the seat, which should have gone to Merrick Garland, Neil Gorsuch is receiving stolen property. I don't know what kind of judge he would be. I'm not sure. It's a good question. Gorsuch, everybody. Gorsuch, like a throat disease. I got Gorsuch. Oh, I got a herky in my Gorsuch today. Oh, yeah. I was in the hospital with Gorsuch. I'm lucky it didn't kill me, the Gorsuch. I'm sure they'll name some sort of pharmaceutical after him, you know? Don't we want Tolts? Isn't that what we were going to ask our doctors about? That we need Tolts? There's so many drugs out there. Do not go gently into that good night. That's brought to you by American Pharma, is what that commercial is. But anyway, all right, so he's there to replace Scalia. This is it. Now, I will say Trump does not know what the Supreme Court does, nor does he care. So that's why he left it up to Mitch McConnell and Mike Pence. If they would just leave him alone while he kicks around Mexicans and Muslims, he'd be all right with that. And so, he's going to leave it up to Mitch. He's going to leave it up to Mitch to either blow up the Senate rules or not. And, they are blowing up the Senate rules. They've been blowing them up all day. I don't know how much you know about the rules being blown up today, but here is the Senate. I put this on the screen. I'll show you. You can see that all the Democratic seats there are empty. They're empty. And only the Republicans showed up for this particular moment here. And we'll let you listen in to what went on today.
Change, but their answer is always the same.
Warren.
Delay. And then yesterday, my colleagues took the unprecedented step of boycotting a Finance Committee vote on nominations. Long story short, we took some unprecedented actions today due to the unprecedented obstruction on the part of our colleagues. As I noted earlier, the Senate Finance Committee has traditionally been able to function in even the most divisive political environments. That all changed yesterday. Needless to say, this discussion isn't over. I intend to get the committee back to where it once was, and I will use every tool at my disposal, procedural or otherwise, to make sure this doesn't become the new normal for the Senate Finance Committee. I mean, it's just another way of roughing up the president and his choice of nominees. We had a full hearing here. I stayed till the last question was asked. Had multiple rounds. They've been treated fairly. We have not been treated fairly.
When the floor vote will take place? Have you talked with Mr. McConnell about it?
It's up to the leader.
They wanted more information.
Oh, come on. Come on.
They wanted more information.
They had tons of information, much more than the prior two Democrat treasurers had. Now they don't have one argument that's worthwhile, not one. And if they'd had, they should have shown up yesterday and made their arguments.
They did. They made their arguments. The Democrats did. And so about 10:45 this morning, the Senate Democrats had not shown up at an Environment and Public Works Committee hearing to consider Scott Pruitt as our EPA secretary. Scott Pruitt, the one with like 13 live lawsuits against the exact administration that he wants to now head, which would make him the plaintiff, the defendant, and the judge, and the jury in all those cases. And so the Democrats didn't show up for that. And then the tempers started to flare at a Judiciary Committee hearing to approve the nomination of Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. And, they're all like sweet little country mice now going, oh, I hope this isn't the new normal because we can't let the EPA go without an administrator. I hope this isn't the new normal. And speaking of the EPA, this ties right back to Neil Gorsuch. You might know the name because you get a very expensive catalog of ski gear. I don't know if they're related. I don't think they are, but it's just not a common name. But I do know his mother is Ann Gorsuch Buford. Ann Gorsuch was the first female head of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. And Ann Gorsuch resigned in shame. Actually, she resigned in contempt of Congress because when Ann Gorsuch was made EPA administrator under Ronald Reagan, her first job, she thought, was to destroy the EPA. See, just like Scott Pruitt would go to EPA and destroy EPA. So it's interesting that, we had Mommy Gorsuch and now we have the son. She gave us toxic waste sites. See, her whole thing was on Superfund cleanup sites, and she wouldn't release documents that showed that she neglected to use the funds that were appropriated for Superfund cleanup sites to clean up these toxic waste sites. And so, therefore, the documents were subpoenaed. Finally, the Reagan administration turned them over, but she resigned after trying to hide these documents. And so she left us with toxic waste, and now the toxic waste that is Donald Trump has given us her son as a nominee for the Supreme Court. Isn't that nice? See how that all stays so close in the family? See how that is? Yeah, Gorsuch's mother, Ann Gorsuch Buford, who, she has two names because she was married twice and divorced twice. Well, I shouldn't say divorced twice because her second husband died while they were in divorce proceedings. So, just an aside. But she was appointed by Ronald Reagan to head the EPA, and then she immediately started to try to behead the EPA, and then was cited for contempt of Congress for refusing to turn over documents about a mishandled toxic waste spill. So she was the most corrupt official ever to be in charge of EPA, but that's a record that will undoubtedly be broken this year by Scott Pruitt. Congratulations. He's picking just the finest America has to offer, isn't he? Yeah. Now, Gorsuch, they say, is an originalist. Now, what does that mean, everybody? What does that mean? It means that an originalist means that they like the Constitution the day it was written, with slavery in it and no equal rights for women. They like the original version. They don't like any of the amendments. They don't like any of the progress. So he's an originalist is what it is. And, I got to say, he nominated him to fill a seat that, they would not, Oh, and, I love this explanation they give us. They go, well, we've never seen a president nominate somebody so late in his term, with only a year to go. Except I think Kennedy was nominated in that exact scenario. But they say, they love to lie. So they say, oh, well, we've never seen. And so we decided to let the people choose. Well, the people chose, the popular vote did not favor Donald Trump. The popular vote favored Hillary Clinton. So that means more people that voted wanted to see Hillary select the next Supreme Court justice, which probably would have been Merrick Garland. But, instead, Trump is ramming down this radical, Supreme Court pick for a stolen seat that the Republicans stole and held, aside over here in their bounty, their booty of bounty or bounty of booty. And so now you've got this guy. I can't even believe that this guy stood up there and didn't say anything about, hey, you know what? It would have been, proper and usual for them to have, this seat's been open for almost a year. This is wrong. I'm sorry, Mr. President. I have to decline. Please, bring back my personal friend and my judicial friend, Merrick Garland. And then now. No, of course not. So this guy's only 49 years old. So here you have a decision that Donald Trump is making that could impact us for, I don't know, the lives, at least the rest of my life, the rest of your life, the rest of your children's lives. and maybe your grandchildren's. I mean, it's just an amazing thing. And by the way, he moved his announcement up 2 days so it would serve as a distraction to the disaster of the Muslim ban, see? And then idiot boy who did this to distract from the Muslim ban then brings up the Muslim ban today. He just can't let his crap go. He just can't do it. So I don't know what he's going to use next time he needs a distraction, but if today was any indication, I think maybe some sort of war with Iran might suit to distract everybody, because all of a sudden today, General Flynn comes out at the White House press briefing.
Madam President, I come to the floor to announce
no.
a
Okay. All right, that's later. Where is it? Here? No. Yes. Okay, watch this. This is Michael Flynn today at the press briefing. This is like, this will scare the bejesus out of you, I think. Remember, they're looking for distractions. Distractions. That's why we moved up the announcement of the Supreme Court nominee 2 days to distract from this poorly executed, ridiculously thought out religious ban on 7 predominantly Muslim nations, with an exception for Christians, right? Right, but it has nothing to do with religion. But here's Flynn today. This is like freaky.
Iranian actions involving a provocative ballistic missile launch and an attack against a Saudi naval vessel conducted by Iran-supported Houthi militants underscore what should have been clear to the international community all along about Iran's destabilizing behavior across the entire Middle East. The recent ballistic missile launch is also in defiance of UN Security Council Resolution 2231, which calls upon Iran not to undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launches using such ballistic missile technology. These are just the latest of a series of incidents in the past 6 months in which Houthi forces that Iran has trained and armed have struck Emirati and Saudi vessels and threatened United States and allied vessels transiting the Red Sea. In these and other similar activities, Iran continues to threaten U.S. friends and allies in the region. The Obama administration failed to respond adequately to Tehran's malign actions, including weapons transfers, support for terrorism, and other violations of international norms. The Trump administration condemns such actions by Iran that undermine security, prosperity, and stability throughout and beyond the Middle East, and which places American lives at risk. President Trump has severely criticized the various agreements reached between Iran and the Obama administration, as well as the United Nations, as being weak and ineffective. Instead of being thankful to the United States in these agreements, Iran is now feeling emboldened. As of today, we are officially putting Iran on notice. Thank you.
No, thank you. First of all, what does on notice mean? I don't know. I guess they're going to reserve action against Iran as a sideshow in case something goes wrong, in between now and, the confirmation hearings, which won't be for 6 weeks. So that gives us time to really check out this Gorsuch guy, okay? But also, why would he say that if Donald Trump says he's never going to telegraph? He's never going to say, what his posture is. He's going to be so unpredictable. I think this has to do with Lindsey Graham and John McCain being so vocal against, this Muslim ban that they're throwing that, because they want to bomb Iran more than they love each other. They love, the idea of bombing Iran, the McCain and Graham do. So maybe that was just a little aside for them, I don't know, to come along and get with the program. But I didn't even understand what he was talking about in his, announcement there of things that had happened, because he wove together two things. One that happened because the Saudis took action against Yemen, and the other, the Iranians were conducting a test of a missile, not necessarily a ballistic missile, just a missile. We don't know what kind of missile it was, but it was a planned test that Iran's military, said that it was going to do. And the UN, doesn't ban them from testing anything except for, they asked them to not do a ballistic missile test, under the agreement, but they didn't forbid them from doing. So this wouldn't be, a violation of the UN agreement. But honest to God, I really didn't understand what he was talking about because he mixed together here, listen to the very beginning of what he said and tell me if you could understand that. One of the actions he's talking about was an Iranian missile test scheduled and reported, and the other one had to do with Saudi Arabia that targeted Iranian-backed rebels in Yemen. Because I couldn't tell the difference. No. Yeah, hang on. Man, I hate video. Oh, screw it. Who cares? But it's just so all these things are going on today, and then this morning he in celebration, I don't know, or out of duty, or out of precedent, or what other presidents said. Donald Trump had this little song, Dog and Pony Show, with Omarosa's closest friends and other fellow ministers, because Omarosa is a minister. So Donald Trump had this sort of dog and pony show in the in the conference room or something like that. I don't know which room that they actually used, where he asked Omarosa's friends to come in and sit down with him, and he praised, I don't know, Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist, is doing big things. He did really big things, huge impact, big, huge. It was weird. And this because February is African American, History Month. He's such a strange man. The whole thing, everything he does is strange. So, it got very, very nasty on the Hill today. I mean, like super, super nasty because Jeff Sessions' Judiciary Committee, you have to be voted out of the committee. Whatever committee you come in front of has to vote you out, and then you go to the whole floor, right? So today, the Judiciary Committee had to take its vote on whether or not to send Jeff Sessions' nomination for Attorney General to the floor. And of course, it did not go well, and there was all kinds of contretemps in the committee. It was brutal. I have all the audio for you. Sheldon Whitehouse was absolutely amazing. Rhode Island, you should be very, very proud of your senator. He was insane. Just really, really good. And and so much happened to Rex Tillerson. We just confirmed the Secretary of ExxonMobil is now part of the cabinet. So they'll call him Secretary of State, but the United Corporations of America have chosen the Secretary of ExxonMobil to represent them in foreign policy overseas. And just so you know that you need to get on the phone if you're in Virginia, North Dakota, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and or Maine. 5 Democrats voted for the Secretary of Exxon to join the United Corporations of America at the, in the Trump administration. Mark Warner of Virginia voted yes for Rex Tillerson. Heidi Heitkamp from North Dakota voted yes for Tillerson. Joe Manchin of West Virginia, because he never met a hunk of coal he didn't love, voted yes for Rex Tillerson. Ron Johnson of Wisconsin voted yes for Tillerson. And Angus King of Maine, I'm shocked. I am really disappointed. Angus King of Maine also voted to send the Secretary of ExxonMobil around the world. Go to RandyRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.